Good morning. Welcome to Radio Works World with the Holistic Success Show. My name is Gulrukh Khan, and I've got a wonderful guest today who is the beautiful Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu, who is a New York attorney and a solicitor of England and Wales. She's also the founder and editor-in-chief of the Women in Leadership publication for the Radio Works platform. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Shola before we start speaking. She's actually a dual qualified lawyer. She's got very, very broad corporate and commercial experience in the financial services industry, and she's got a massive focus on corporate investment banking and asset management. Shola, you've got an absolutely beautiful name. Where do your family originate from?
Thank you for that. It's a Nigerian name, and the full name is Shola, which means Ade means crown. So it's generally a name that you would have if you're a member of a royal family. So Shola, and fully spelled out, would mean Ola, which means crown makes wealth.
Wow, that's such a powerful name, and obviously very indicative of where your future's heading.
Let's hope so.
Really wonderful. Where did you grow up, Shola?
Excellent question. I kind of had a different background. So I grew up in Nigeria, but we also grew up in the United States. My parents worked out there for a while. And back home, we did Nigeria and West Africa. My mother also worked out in Tanzania for the Commonwealth. So we lived out there for a few years as well. And of course, here in the United Kingdom, where I've lived for, goodness, probably over 20 years now.
Wow, that's wonderful. I mean, obviously, there's a huge difference between here and New York. What was your childhood like growing up in New York?
Well, in the States, we actually lived in Philadelphia,
Okay.
not New York, and my memories were that it was fantastic. You know what it's like being a child. You don't have any responsibility, so everything is rosy, right? As long as you get what you want, and sometimes you don't get what you want. For me, my memories of my childhood in the States and growing up in Nigeria were wonderful.
And at which point did you come to the UK?
So I came to the UK at 17 to start my first degree at the University of Buckingham, which is the only private university in the UK. And they had this fantastic 2-year, they still do, 2-year law program. So that's a Bachelor of Laws with honors. And I'd heard about it when I was 15 or 16. I was living in Nigeria then, and I thought it was just fantastic. Imagine getting your degree done in 2 years, right?
Absolutely.
And when it was time to apply for it, I'd done the equivalent of the A-levels exams. And to be able to apply in the UK, you need to have either the A-levels or you need to have gone through a process, I think like a sixth form to get to do the A-levels. And my mom strongly encouraged me to consider doing the A-levels. But I thought, no, but I've completed my secondary school. I don't want to go back and do a sixth form and do the A-levels, right? I felt that I had a very strong, I suppose, school exam results. I had 4 A's and 4, was it B's or C's? I can't remember. I was just too glad that it was done. So I applied to 5 universities, believe it or not, through the U.K.A.S program. I don't know if it's called something different now. I applied to 5 universities, and by this time, my family was living in Tanzania. My mom was working for the Commonwealth. And believe it or not, Go, out of the 5 universities, the first 4 responses I got were rejections. Every
Wow.
single one of them was a rejection. And my mom would come back and say, oh, don't worry. Look, why don't we go back? Let's do sixth form. It's because you don't have the exact A-level result. They don't want to take equivalent. I said, well, I don't know. Let's see. And I remember going to my mom's office to go get, to pick up something. And I noticed the envelope on her desk. And I could see it was from UCAS. And this time the difference was clear. It wasn't thin, it was fat. I swear to you, Go, as I picked that thing up and I opened it, I could hear the heavens laughing with me because I knew it was good news. And I received an unconditional offer to the University of Buckingham, which is my first choice anyway. They just took their time responding. And the rest, as they say, is history, because I started at 17 and I was finished with my first degree at 19.
That is absolutely amazing, Shola. I mean, you do have an impressive background. I mean, what actually made you, I mean, first of all, you've got a very remarkable professional background, which you juggle around with running a family of young children, which I'd like to discuss with you later. But first of all, Shola, tell me what actually made you choose law as a career? Because it's a very committed educational path and actually quite demanding in a sense, you know, as a career, because you've always got to be very, very much up to date, you know, rather like going into the medical field. It is very constant. What was your inspiration for this?
That's an excellent question, because I was not planning to go into law. Oh, no, 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 not at all. I had a very firm view of lawyers. At the age of 14, 15, I thought all lawyers were liars, quite frankly. I actually wanted to go into theater arts. I could see myself on stage, my dear, you see. So it was not law at all. And I remember my my father asking me what I wanted to study. And I mean, he's a typical Nigerian dad, right? But not so typical that he did not force me to have to think of something else. So he asked me, oh, you know, so what do you want to take your exams in? What do you want to go study in university? I said, Daddy, I want to do theater arts. And he looked at me and paused, and he didn't say anything for a little while. Then he went, have I ever considered law? I said, me, a lawyer? Never. Lawyers are liars. Why would I want to do that? He didn't say, you know, my father didn't say a single word. He didn't try to dissuade me from it. He just looked at me and kind of nodded. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was reverse psychology. But when it was time to apply to universities, the reality hit me when I looked at the subjects I like doing, and I saw that they were perfect for law, and that law really personality and what was required with reading. I love reading a lot, right? And I thought, oh, actually, maybe it's not so bad, you know. I pretty much, that's how I chose law as my the profession I was going to go into. Theater arts didn't come into it after, you know, after that. It didn't even come into my head. But if I'm perfectly honest, I'd had other professions that I wanted to go into. You see, I wanted to be a doctor because I like the idea of giving people injections. Then I realized that that's not a good reason to be a doctor, right? I was much younger at the time. Then I wanted to be an engineer because I had these fantastic ideas, inventions, right? Blah, blah. Then I realized that, oh, subjects from the physics and the, you know, further math, I'm like, oh, forget that. I'm not doing that. That's not for me, you know. And then I went through the theater arts phase and finally found my niche in law.
Which is amazing because, you know, really, if we look at it, I mean, you've got to be quite theatrical in law anyway. I mean, it does components of confidence. And as far as medical goes, I mean, you know, you've got to be quite, what's the word for it, you know, very intensive, forensic about everything. So in a sense, combined it all. Can I just ask you something, Shola? I mean, obviously law is a massive field, and you chose corporate law as your main focus. Why did you actually choose this particular arena? Because there's not, you know, as far as I know, the gender balance within it is quite restricted for women, which I'd like you to confirm, you know, if that's right. But what made you choose corporate law?
I think it was a tried and tested path I had to go through. At the start of my legal profession, it wasn't so easy to immediately get the kind of experience that I wanted or the training contract. So I needed to find the next best thing, which is okay. So what area of law do I want to practice? I had my first degree, and your first degree does not automatically make you, I suppose, a specialist in a particular area of law. So what I did was I started to do what you might call things like outdoor clerking, when you support, say, barristers. I did paralegaling, where you, as a paralegal, you're like a legal assistant to a solicitor. And I had various roles in different, I suppose, different spheres of the legal profession. So with private practice firms, in-house in corporations, and that kind of just opened my eyes to what I would like and what I wouldn't like. So I remember supporting this barrister in an attempted murder trial. So I was outdoor clerking for her in an attempted murder trial, and then I realized that criminal law was not for me.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it, because I realized that the kind of responsibility when you have someone's life in your hands. I just thought, okay, I kind of felt like the passion, I would not be able to not take it home with me.
Yeah.
It's something I would live in and out every single day. And I thought, okay, maybe that's not for me.
Yeah.
And then I tried some other areas, administrative law, public and administrative law, which I thought was interesting, but it wasn't really getting my juices flowing, so to speak. And I finally found that when I was doing my master's degree, especially that commercial and corporate law,
Yes.
I found fascinating. I like dealing with companies and different, I suppose, the different key deliverables that you can achieve with companies through law. So that was really interesting. I found other things interesting, like wills and probate and conveyancing a bit, but it just wasn't enough to make me want to specialize in that area. Because I find that with commercial and corporate law, it underlies a lot of everything that's out there. There's no
Yes.
form of industry you talk about. It could be oil, it could be some form of trade, it could be, I don't know, a hairdressing salon. Everything is underpinned by commercial law.
Yes.
So so I found that it to be a fantastic opportunity to open me up to a breadth of industries out there without me feeling like I need to be honed into one particular area. Although I suppose, to be fair, I did spend over a decade in the financial services sector. But I would say that the wonderful thing about that is, because I was working in-house in these banks tend to serve different kinds of businesses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does open you up again to the different types of transactions that are out there.
Very interesting, very interesting. And, coming on to this sort of area of gender balance, I mean, because it is such a demanding role, as a woman running a family, just tell me what is it like for you, and what are the statistics of in terms of women being corporate lawyers?
I think it's much broader and wider than that. I think one would have to look at the legal profession as a whole, as opposed to one specialty area of law. So we do have a wide representation of female lawyers ever since women were able to break through in this country and become lawyers. I think the difficulty or the challenge is more about women rising to, or being given the opportunity at the very senior level leadership positions.
Yeah.
That is where you see, that's where you see a great disparity
Yeah.
in gender.
Absolutely.
Because at the lower level, of course, I mean, you have many, many, many female lawyers in different areas of law. It's just that when it comes to getting that opportunity to be at the very top of the game, they're few compared to their male counterparts.
Absolutely. And also from the sort of ethnic origin that you're from as well. I mean, tell me the sort of statistical, facts about that within your field.
Right. So I don't have exact figures to mind, but
Roughly, what do you see out there? Do you feel
I
that
mean,
there's many women from your ethnic background represented?
what I see out there is that within the legal field, the gender, or should I say, maybe the ethnic balance, should I say,
Yes.
is it's probably similar as you would find in other professions in
Yes.
terms of the representation of Black, Asian, minority, ethnic groups at the top level of this profession. So yes, on one hand, you've got the gender disparity, but then even within that just gender disparity for women, Black women, should I say, or Asian women, are probably again not as it's still there's still a disparity in that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that is,
sure.
but that to my mind is not too dissimilar from other professions when it comes to the issue of ethnic representation. So
Definitely.
it's not like the legal profession is unique in that. Although
Yeah.
we need to tackle this issue and make sure there's a stronger representation.
Definitely, definitely. Let me ask you also, you know, there's two areas. There's one is your achievements, and there's also challenges that we face. Can you maybe list one or two of your greatest achievement within this arena, and also a couple of situations, sort of very briefly, that have been quite challenging for you, and why you think that's the
Okay.
case?
I would say perhaps say within the legal profession, my my reaction when people compliment me, and I know that it's coming from a good place, about my academic and professional experience, is I don't necessarily see it the same,
Yeah,
because in my mind I'm like, I wish you were there when I was wondering what the heck I was doing.
yeah,
I wish you were there when I had to pick myself up and go, okay, look, you just need to keep moving forward.
yes,
Because I would say for at least 10 years, I would say I had to study and work. I studied because
yes,
I'm an academic at heart. So those qualifications did not come easy. They came
yeah,
because I needed, by God's grace, to put effort into it. And God blessed those efforts. A perfect example is doing my doctorate degree. And while I did my doctorate degree, I was working, full time. I had 2 kids, right? But I had to make it work.
yeah,
And when it got closer to, towards the end, I had to keep my eyes on the prize. Even though there were times I was like, oh Lord, can I rewrite this chapter again? Do I need to go read philosophy and anthropology so I
yeah,
can talk about something to do with law?
yeah,
Another example is even getting my New York qualification. I didn't pass it the first time, or the second, or the third. Again, I was working full time, raising a family, doing my PhD. I was busy, but I still felt strongly that yes, I can do this. It
yeah,
just came to the point that when I was going to go again, I said, okay, Shola, something has to be different here. You can't fly off to New York 3 days before the exam. As much as you've tried in the last 3 months to study for it, there's always been something distracting you.
yeah,
At some point, I had to find a way out of the challenge, and thank God for helping me. Because when I finally passed the New York bar exams, I had to take 3 weeks off. And in my kind of profession, and especially when you're ambitious and you're pushing up the ladder, it's something you're almost loath to do.
yeah, for sure.
But you have to prioritize what's more important right now.
Exactly. Listen, tell me something, Shola. That is absolutely amazing. I mean, to get a doctorate and then to go to New York and to get your bar exams. I mean, these are such huge goals. What very briefly, because I've got so many questions to ask you. What advice could you give other young women who want to take up this career or sort of or line of work?
Yeah. First of all, resilience is so important. You
Yeah.
have to want it as much as you think it, and you should brace yourself up for the challenge. And sometimes that challenge is you. Sometimes that challenge is you just getting past whatever present difficulty you may have. That difficulty could be financial. That
Yes.
difficulty could be that, oh my God, you just not passed the exam and you need to sit it again. That difficulty could be the challenge of time, having to work and do something as strenuous as New York bar exams. I mean, goodness. I mean, people don't. When you hear people talk about the New York bar exams, believe you me, it's not something you necessarily just. It's not a walk in the park, so to speak. But it doesn't have to be the New York bar exams. It could be anything else.
Sure.
You see,
So resilience is
resilience,
key
I would
word,
say that keyword, and be ambitious for yourself, not for anybody else,
but for yourself, which is
but for
beautiful.
yourself. Yeah,
Absolutely beautiful.
and
Keywords: be
yeah,
ambitious for yourself and
be
and,
ambitious
and,
for
and
yourself.
have resilience. I mean, those are great words of advice. And what I love about you also, Shola, is that, you know, to add to your many talents, you also run a magazine, which is which features a lot of high-profile women, as well as yourself also being a regular Huffington Post contributor. Can you just tell us a little bit briefly about your magazine and what inspired you to actually start it?
Right. So the Women in Leadership publication, which can be accessed at www.willpublication.com, and that's WIL publication, started off as just this as an opportunity to share other people's stories and use it to inspire personal leadership journeys for women. I kind of felt, what would I want to know? I mean, given my own background and my experience, and knowing that in life you need to work for what you want. I also strongly believe that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I thought, look, what can I do to help other women the same way I want to be helped, just the same way I would like to be helped. Recognizing that for women, there's a singular journey. We may all have different paths to it, but it always ends up to the same goal, which is to be the very best that we can be in all the multiple personalities, platforms, and responsibilities that we have, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So that is basically the main passion for the publication, to get the opportunity to speak to female trailblazers,
Yes.
be them celebrated or uncelebrated. As far as I'm concerned, I want to recognize women who are doing things that other people have not even heard of, because that might encourage somebody else.
Beautiful.
And for those who are being celebrated, you know what? Let's get to the crux of the matter. If you think
Yes.
about it, go. Sometimes all you just see are people's successes, but you don't know what price they paid to get there. You don't know
Yes.
what sacrifices they made to get there. So that's why, I give as an example, when people go, wow, look at what you've achieved professionally and academically. In my mind, I'm thinking, sit down, let me tell you my story. It's don't be fooled by the by the outward appearance.
Yes.
Something that my father told me a long time ago has held me in very good stead all these years. God bless him. He passed away a few years ago, about 5 years ago now. And my father was like my friend, right? So he was the kind of father you could pick up the phone and tell anything. So especially when I wanted to vent, I would vent to him. I mean, like literally go. I'm venting on the phone. The poor man is in Nigeria. I'm here in London. Go, I don't believe this. Da, 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 da. And I remember having this moment in my LPC. I had to receipt a paper. And I remember venting on the phone with my dad, because as far as I was concerned, having to retake this paper was holding me back. I had plans, I had things to do, blah, blah, blah. How old was I? Probably 20. So after I finished venting, my father said, are you done? I said, yes, because I was now out of breath. And he now said, you know what, Shola, you should be grateful that you're going through this in your 20s and not in your 40s. I'm like, what kind of advice is that one? What am I supposed to do with that? He said, listen to me. You will bounce back from this. You pick yourself up and you do it again. It's
Yes.
better to go through the challenges and overcome it. And then he told me something that just stayed in my mind always. He said, success has many brothers and sisters, many. And that when you are done, all people see is success written on your forehead. They don't know what it took you to get there. Nobody sits there to unwrap the present, or peel the onion to find out what is in there. And I think that has somehow made me feel that, you know what, with anything and everything that I achieved by the grace of God, I will tell the truth about how I achieved it. I'm not going to wrap it up and make it look like I'm some wonderful person and, oh, I'm so brainy. No, but for the grace of God.
Oh, that's wonderful. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I love your story. I could talk to you for hours. I mean, you're so inspiring. But I just want to touch upon 2 or 3 points really quickly before we sort of end this interview. Is just to let our the people who are listening in is that, you know, you've also interviewed Ariana Huffington recently and Sherry Blair for your latest issue.
Yes.
You've set up your own consultancy, which is doing really successfully. And you've been championing human rights and the gender balance issues for a very, very long time. And because of that, you obviously are attached to quite a lot of prestigious events, one of which is coming up that's called WinTrade, which I'm delighted to also be collaborating with you and attending. And that's next week, which kicks off with a launch in the House of Lords.
Yes.
So there's a lot of women from different nationalities and professional backgrounds in a very high profile environment, obviously ranging from some of the banking venues and some of the embassies as well. Can you just give us a very brief overview in the last couple of minutes that we've got, and tell us how people can get tickets to attend?
Absolutely. Look, we are very excited about this convention next week. It's the first of its kind in the UK. It's going to be transcending all ethnic, cultural, social, and economic barriers to women's empowerment, women's economic empowerment. So we strongly encourage as many women and men, because this is all inclusive, to join us next week. I'm one of the co-organizers. The other organizers are Dr. Yvonne Thompson, Carmen Breveld, Mirella Sula, Her Excellency Dr. Justina Mutale, and Chantel Clarissa. The beautiful thing about this is we've all come from different regions to put this together. You can go to our website and get information on there, and it's the WinTrade Week London. And so if you Google it, it should come up. But by all means as well, you're following Gulrukh Khan, or you can check on my website. You'll find all the information there as well. It's going to be explosive. What we're expecting is for people to be able to walk away with contracts. And when I say contracts, I mean it's the right kind of platform where potential customers will meet potential suppliers, and potential suppliers will meet potential clients, all right? And we've got some really high-profile speakers that'll be there, foreign ministers from other countries and representatives. We've got Gina Miller, who will be there as well, and our sponsors range from Royal Bank of Scotland, NatWest, Deloitte, the Dutch Embassy as well, and you will have a fantastic time. This is not just networking for the sake of it. This is networking to make your business get to that next level.
That's so amazing. I mean, I'm so excited about coming along, and I've invited a few people who are also looking forward to it as well. And lastly, before we kick off the end of the show.
Sorry, Go. If I can just quickly mention that our patrons are Baroness Verma of Leicester and Baroness Howells of St. David's, and they will be there. So come and join us.
Wonderful, and they're lovely women. They're absolutely lovely. I know Baroness Verma. She's really amazing.
Fantastic. Yes.
Just finally, in the last minute or so, Shola, because you have got so much interesting stuff to talk about. What other aspirations do you have in life? I mean, you've already got such a massively full plate, but I'm wondering if you've got time or you've got inclination for anything more in your life that you feel that you'd like to achieve. And you're doing a marvelous job with your children. We haven't been able to touch that upon that due to time, but tell me if there's anything else that really inspires you to want to achieve before we sort of exit this planet, so to speak.
Be honest with you, with the things that I'm already involved in, I don't think I've reached the zenith yet. So I'm looking forward to exploring more within the platforms and opportunities I already have. But at the same time, I'm excited about new chapters that God will reveal to me, because I'm a strong believer that there's a multifaceted purpose to us as women, be you wife, mother, businesswoman, whatever it is. So I would say that my aspirations are not limited. They're actually kind of open-ended right now. And I'm excited about seeing what else is out there that I've not even thought of. And I'm excited about what I'm doing right now. I want to keep pushing it to really be in a position to be as impactful as possible. Because until I'm that, I don't feel like I've done what I'm meant to do.
That's fantastic. Great sharing there. And, you know, in the final moments before we finish, I'd just like to say that I think your children probably think you're an absolute super mum.
They probably think I'm grouchy and grumpy.
Oh, bless. What advice would you give to young mothers out there who would like to actually go into or back into work and maybe have been away from the working environment for quite a while? What can they do, and how can you reassure them that it's fine to actually go and have a very serious career, even though they've got young children and they have to take care of them? What sort of advice would you give there?
I think the first thing I'll say is that you can do it. Okay. Secondly, I've met women. So they're two different kind of things. You have the women like myself who have kids and push straight back into work. Okay, so they've not taken extended time of work, and then you have women who have kids and take extended time off work so that they can be there for the the early years. I say that either path works. It's really about what you want, and it's about your confidence. And honestly, as well, help yourself. Keep educating yourself. Um, Focus on what it is you want to achieve. Let me assure you about something. Having children should not hold you back. If anything, it should drive you to achieve more.
Beautiful.
Because of my three beautiful girls who don't hesitate to tell me exactly what they think. um, I feel compelled that I should try to be the best that I can be. I mean, I have no doubt that I am not listen, I'm not perfect, not by any stretch of the word. But I see my children, especially, and because I have girls, I find that it's really important for them to see that it is possible as a woman to set your mind and move for what you want to do. There was something my mother told me years ago that has held me in good stead. She said to me that Shola, you owe it to your children to be in a position to provide for them and provide for yourself. It's all well and good to be married, to be in love. That's fantastic. But you should not let your husband be the only one bearing the full burden. You owe it to yourself and to your children to also be a provider.
That's beautiful.
For me, those are sound words of advice.
Beautiful, beautiful. Look, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today on this show. As I said, I could talk to you for hours and hours, but we have such a short time slot for this interview. But hopefully, we'll be able to interview you again and see what kind of progress you've made further down the line, post Wintrade. Much love and thank you very much, Shola. And I'm sure that our viewers will be very, very inspired, or our listeners, I should say, will be very inspired by everything that you've shared with us. Bless you, and thank you very much.
And thank you, Radio W.O.R.K.S. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.